So in this video I'm going to show you how to load material onto your Mimaki JFX200ex. Now this is 3mm Foamex that I'm going to load today. It's in really good condition, the corners aren't bent up and it's not damaged, which is really important. It's also really nice and clean, and it's also printable, which is something that you've got to bear in mind. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to decide whether I need to use my jig pins. Now the jig pins are the pins that are going to go into the table, and they're going to go there so that we can load our board up to it and we can get it in really nice position. Now we have to be super careful with these jig pins. The jig pins are 3mm high, so we cannot use jig pins for any material that is less than 3mm. Now this is 3mm Foamex, so we're going to be absolutely fine. Now to put the jig pins in, all I'm going to do is literally slot them into my table and then screw them in. Now I make sure that I only use as many as I actually need, and I also need to make sure that it is perfectly screwed down into the table. So I'm just locating them first. And all the way down into the table. We don't want to add any extra height on those jig pins. Once they're in position, we can then bring our material up to our jig pins. We can get it nice and tight onto those pins there. So we know that everything's going to be set up in exactly the same position on our bed. Once we've done that, we now need to measure the height of that material. So this is where we tell the machine that it's going to be that certain height, and then it knows where to bring the head to print to. So this is super easy. We're going to go over to the controls of our machine. We're then going to go to our function menu. We're going to go down to our head height, and then we're going to press enter on that one, and then we're going to go down to the next one, which is thickness check, and press enter again on that one. Then it's going to ask us to check our work/layout pins, which are the jig pins that we just put in. So yeah, we've got them in place and we know that they're there, so we'll press enter to see yes. Okay. So what's going to happen now is that the head carriage there is going to move across, and we'll also see our little laser pointer. Now you may also notice that the vacuum has come on as well, and that's just to hold down our material to make sure it's in the right place. There we go, so you can see our head's now coming across. Now what we now need to do is we now need to press our down arrow on our control, and that's going to bring our head closer to us, because we need to make sure that the little laser position that you'll be able to see down here, there it is, just making sure that that's over the top of our material. So pressing my down arrow to bring the head forward, and then I'm going to press my left arrow then to put my head over the top of the material. So the little red laser pointer is where it's going to do its measurement from. I'm going to press enter. Now what you'll notice, as soon as I press enter, the head will come forward and it's going to put the gap pin down on that little red laser position. So it's now going to start measuring that position for me. There we go, so it's now measured, and now on the screen it's actually saying thickness check 2.9, and so I'm okay with that, so that's what it's measured, so I'm going to press enter. So this is obviously slightly less than 3mm, but it's absolutely fine. If you were worried about that, you can then increase your height. So it's just doing all of its checking now. So if I was worried and I wanted to then recheck the height, obviously I can redo this procedure if I wanted to. I could also just press my up arrow, and then I can go into media thickness and press enter. You can see now we've got the value of 2.9 in there, and I can press my up arrow and I can change it to 3 mil. So if you were worried that that wasn't correct or it's slightly too low, and obviously this material is not always going to be perfect, so 2.9 is right, but I can add a couple of 0.1s of the mil if I wanted to. Press enter on that, enter it again, say yeah, that's confirmed, and if we press our end button, end again, we're then back into local. So now our material is loaded and our printer is ready to print. So that's how you load material onto your JFX200ex printer.